Welcome to the Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show. I'm your host, Thorn City Podcast Guy. In this episode, Patrick Shaw, founder of For Fathers, a platform dedicated to helping fathers heal, grow, and thrive. Dedicated to supporting and empowering fathers as they navigate the journey of parenthood and the often overlooked challenges they face. Patrick shares his personal experiences as a father, including battles with co-parenting, financial hardships, and the lack of resources available to fathers. Whether you're a father, someone who understands the struggle of fatherhood, or simply passionate about community support and social change, Patrick's story is sure to resonate. This is more than just a podcast. It's an opportunity to gain insights, be inspired, and join the conversation today. Thorn City Podcast Guy, let's go. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Welcome to the Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show.
Yes, sir.
Where we network and build connections through interviews and discussions. I'm your host, Thorn City Podcast Guy. This episode is brought to you by GMB Podcast Group. Make sure you visit thorncitysyndicate.com. Click the link at the top and visit my fan page. You can leave me text messages, voice messages. You can leave me a tip if you wish. And check out some of my perks I've been working on putting up there. Today I got a special guest in the spotlight, my brother Patrick Shaw, founder of For Fathers. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting fathers. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Excellent. You know,
nice, man. I appreciate you joining me today, man.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, man. Tell me a little bit about where you're from, your personal journey as a father, and how it led you to create For Fathers.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the youngest of three. My mom and dad, Patricia, and Artis, born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, South Florida. Actually, just came back from a game. Dolphins beat up on the Jaguars.
Oh, you went to the football game?
I went to the football game.
Nice.
I went to the football game. And so, my homies that I connected with, we all played college ball together, met up with them. Half of us were Dolphins fans. The other half were Jacksonville fans. So, got a little trash talking in there.
Yeah.
But, playing football myself, just, meeting them in college, those are, been my buddies, ever since. So 20 plus years at this point. And so the mother of my child, I actually, we met in college at Indiana University, and we dated, for about 2 or 3 years during college. I graduated in 99. She graduated in 2000. We ended up getting married right after she graduated. Like there was in May of 2000, got married fresh. So, that was a interesting journey because we were both so young. And, you at that time really didn't have a main conversation about what our family would look like, what our parenting styles were, all those types of things. Didn't have none of those discussions. And so, my parents, they had been married for forever. So marriage was just kind of a thing.
It's just normal.
It was just normal.
Yeah.
And so now I look back on it and I'm like, there should have been plenty more conversations. There should have been, some counseling in there. So long story short, as a result of not doing the prep work, if you will, we ended up getting a divorce. And so that started off decent. We had 1 week on, 1 week off, didn't have to go through the court system or anything like that. And eventually she ended up moving. And so during that time, my son was coming back and forth, visiting during the summers, visiting during the holidays. And so I didn't realize how much it actually impacted me for him not to be with me full time.
Yeah.
And so there was a level of depression that kicked in during that time. And I didn't identify it until I lost weight. I lost about 15 pounds. But at that time, I was thinking like, I'm looking lean, I'm looking good, so I was really embracing it.
Yeah.
But then I was so lethargic. I didn't have any energy. And so at that point, I was just like, all right, something's going on. A couple of friends of mine were in the medical field, nurses and doctors and different things of that nature. So I, went over to them, checked my blood pressure. That was through the roof, right? And so I set up an appointment, go see the doctor, and, doctor was like, hey, you're stressed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so long story short, just that journey caused me to start identifying, where kind of things went wrong, went south. And what I mean by that is, again, the level of detachment when you don't have access to your child, it really affected me, that I didn't realize and acknowledge that it affected me the way that it did. And so one of the things that I started doing is trying to find resources of, to help me, one, with the parental rights, but also two, from a financial perspective. So when he would come and visit, childcare, and not daycare, but, after school care or things of that nature that can be extremely expensive. And so I started to go to different agencies and was like, hey, what do you have for parents, right? And they were like, well, for moms, we have this program, we have that program. But okay, let's look at your finance. Well, unfortunately, you're not under the poverty line, so we can't help you there.
Wow.
So then they were like, well, are you addicted to any drug? So basically, I didn't qualify for anything.
You didn't have enough problems.
I didn't have enough problems, and literally, I remember having that type of conversation, like, all right, so you're telling me that if I was a mom, then I could qualify for housing, I could qualify for all these things.
Everything.
Right. Or if I, had major problems, incarcerated or drugs or anything of that nature, then I could have some assistance. But for the everyday dad, nothing. And so that's when I started, I started getting with other guys. We would, come in the morning on a Saturday, connect. And it just became a part of camaraderie, just us getting together, because there were other dads that had been dealing with certain situations. And so from that, it just really grew.
Yeah.
To the point to where I was like, this is really a thing. Like, you have dads really out here struggling. And not everybody was divorced. Some people were, married, but trying to figure out, how to navigate through conversations. Some of them didn't grow up with a father figure.
Yeah, that's always tough.
So trying to figure that out as well.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, as I started dating, and my partner, she asked me one day, she was like, what are you passionate about? Right? Because she was like, you have a good job, you're making good money. But I don't feel like you're passionate about that.
Yeah, you don't love that.
I don't love it.
Yeah.
And so that's what inspired me to actually set up the 501c3 and make it official.
Yeah.
It's funny, in the Black community, we do a lot of things that may be unofficial. Like, I started cutting hair, never went and got my license. I know guys that have started doing, electrical work, never went and got a certificate. You know what I mean? And so it was just like, it fell into place and made sense, but just going to that extra step to say, all right, let me be official, so that way I can, really take the program and make it
the
grow.
right way. Yeah.
Do it the right way. And so here we are today, with 4 fathers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Like we was talking earlier, I don't have any kids, but I see how you said that not having your son with you, that affects you. Absolutely. I told myself early that I wouldn't, if I couldn't find nobody to start a family with, then I probably wouldn't have kids.
Yeah.
And so
yeah,
I still got a few years left in me to see if it make it happen. I ain't found nobody yet.
Right, right.
But yeah, I want to go to sleep and I want to wake up with my kids,
Absolutely.
For their duration of their life.
Yeah.
And I know shit happens and it don't always work out that way. But if I can, you do have, I've been lucky enough. But yeah, stuff happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a good mindset to have, is that, knowing what type of parent you want to be. And when you look at your partner, saying, all right, is this a person that I would want to start a family with? Understanding what their background is, understanding what your background is. Do you guys both agree on parenting style, how you're going to raise your household or run your household? All of those things are important. And in our parenting classes, those are some of the things that we discuss as well. And but on the dad's side, it's really diving into those that background to say, did you have a father figure? And if you did not, then what are you struggling with now that you're a parent?
Yeah.
And having those conversations allow for growth, because now you can hear others' experiences and hopefully take from that what works for them, and maybe try to formulate your own pathway and adopt it and then implement it within that. The other part is that being aware of what is healthy and what is unhealthy. One of the things that I've seen before is where it disciplining. I think especially amongst Black people, we kind of universally say, a spanking, a whooping, is a extremely healthy form of disciplining. And depending on how you do it, most of us, that did receive whoopings,
quite a few beatings. Call it a whooping.
Exactly. We call it a whooping.
Have whooping, spanking, and beating.
Right. And I've even seen like different videos on the internet where it's just like, gentle parenting, timeout, all of those different things. We discussed that type of stuff. I've had that conversation with some parents, and trying to help them navigate with what is effective, what is adequate, and what is normal.
What's normal.
Right.
Yeah.
And because, and again, you'd be surprised that what you think is normal, a lot of people are like, oh, really? I can't do that? It's like, no, you can't.
We're living in different times.
We're living in a different world.
Man, so
absolutely.
I'm going to have to introduce you to another young lady. She was on my show a couple episodes ago, Nicole Brewster.
Okay.
Bishop. She has a nonprofit called Elevate Him.
Okay. Yeah.
And like you said, it's hard for you to get resources for men. She's into suicide awareness and just providing resources for men, because there's not a lot of resources out there for men
at all.
So that was her thing. So I think that would be we're trying to get her started back up. And so we'll make that connection. I think you guys could benefit from each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one thing about For Fathers. We're always excited to be able to collaborate, because we don't approach any situation as if we can do it all or by ourselves. As a matter of fact, there is a couple other organizations that I work with, Black Parent Initiative. One of the things when we talked about earlier about resources and identifying what opportunities are out there for dads. And so Black Parent Initiative has parents in it, but some of their programming, or most of their programming, is woman-centric, meaning that they are primarily inclusive of a mother. Now, it's not intentional, but it's just how things end up evolving, where, you're looking at prenatal care, you're looking at doulas, assisting the moms with, the birthing process. There's the education piece that you go through. And so sometimes what ends up happening is that depends on who's showing up the most, then that's where your programs start to grow. And I believe that's, what has happened to organizations like Black Parent Initiative, to where are men even stepping up and participating? And if they're not, then some of that is why some of those programs don't exist. But so For Fathers, so I'm like, hey, we want to make sure we identify that this is for y'all. This is for dads. And ultimately, if y'all participate, then we can continue to grow, and we can continue to make sure y'all have resources. But if y'all don't show up, I don't want to hear the complaints. Oh, man, there's nothing for dads. There's nothing for men. Well, there is. You just got to make sure you participate. Absolutely. So, But Elevate Him, it is Suicide Prevention Month, or Suicide Awareness Month. And so that's, huge.
All right, so we're going to take our first break here. We get a message from our sponsor, GMP Podcast Group. When we come back, we'll discuss healing and engaging Black and brown fathers. Discover GMP Podcast Group Studios, located at 2406 East Burnside Street in Portland, Oregon, offering a range of podcasting packages to suit your needs. starting at just $49 per hour for your basic setup featuring the Rodecaster Pro audio console and SM7B microphones, as well as options complete with camera operator and audio engineer expertise. Elevate your podcasting with multi-camera recording, plus we capture behind-the-scenes shots within the studio. Visit us at www.gmpodcastgroup.com and let GMP Podcast Studios be where your podcasting journey begins.
Cause this syndicate lyricist exists. Don't blink one eye, baby, you just might miss history in the making from the making of this. Third, I guess it's welcome back to these words. So I'ma come well like welcome backwards for sure.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Spotlight Show. I'm your host, Thorn City Podcast Guy. Got Patrick Shaw in the building. How we feeling, brother?
Feeling great, man. It's a great day. The weather has started to shift out here in Portland.
It started to shift.
So I'm starting to pay more attention to my nutrition, my activity, because, this is kind of where it starts to shift and you can fall into a funk, as I like to describe it. So,
yeah, you can. No, that's crazy. But the Spotlight Show, it's the Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show. It's all about the power of networking and forming strategic alliances. And so I don't know if you probably don't know how I got started. I started my business, a management company. Thorn City Syndicate Management is the management company.
Okay.
And I started to help out my best friend, who was a hip hop artist growing up, and he stopped doing music, got caught in the fast life and became addicted to pills and alcohol. So my bro was doing really bad. He posted a video one time of him rapping just rapping. Somebody was recording him, and it turned into one of our biggest songs. But I seen that video, and I'm like, man, I gotta do something. Gotta do something to help my friend out. And I personally, selfishly wanted some new music from him, because I've been hearing a lot of local stuff. And his name's Third Twin. Like I don't have any new Third Twin music, so I decided to pay for my own album. I said, let's get back in the studio. Yeah, we gonna record some songs. We recorded a few songs. We started traveling. We did some shows.
Nice.
Needed a music video. We shot a couple music videos, but I wanted to do a music video kind of on a bigger scale. And so someone introduced me to my business partner now, Justin. And we did a video called Honesty. And it's a really personal video. Like I said, that's where it all started. And that was really what he was going through at the time. And the thoughts you could hear in his head of committing suicide and feeling down and out and what can I do? And so we did that music video. We went to the film festival. We won a few awards. We got to travel to some film festivals. Shortly after that video, my buddy went and got clean. So shout out to my guy Third. Episode 1, he was my first guest. If anybody want to know more about the story of that, go check out episode 1.
Nice.
But yeah, man, he's now about 7.5 years clean. Working a good job. Engaged to be married next year.
Nice.
Got his life back, man. And so that's all I wanted.
Nice.
Of course, I wanted to get rich and get a record deal and all that stuff. But that wasn't why I did it.
Absolutely.
And so I helped my friend out, and he's back. And so I got what I wanted. We got documentary in production.
Nice.
Kind of showing the whole journey. So we'll get back to that. And I got a full album. We did release an EP, but I'll drop the full length album with the video. So, COVID hit, music stopped. Justin hit me up and said we should get into podcasting. He was living with a buddy of his. They were roommates. His name's Tim James, the Health Hero Show. His business wasn't doing good. He's a health coach and sells Health Plus supplements. They started him a podcast, and his business took off. He's been killing them ever since. But he hit me up. He wanted me to help with his GMP brand. So we got together and recreated the GMP Podcast Group Studios here on Burnside, 2406 East Burnside Street. Nice. Anybody looking into podcasting, come on down. We'll take care of you. But that's how we got here.
Nice.
And then after a few years, me helping everybody else do podcasts, I decided it was my turn.
Nice.
I need to come out from behind the scene and open up a little bit. And I had to figure out why I want to do it. And for me, like I said, it was the power of networking and forming those strategic alliances to help business. And so I'm glad I did it. And now you're here.
I appreciate it, man. And that's a dope story. I love that. I took so many points away from that story alone. The fact that you saw that your buddy was struggling and you intervened, right? And he entrusted in you that you were trying to help him. So he leaned into that, and both of y'all end up, taking something that was could have been a really bad situation, because drug addiction is people don't always recover from that.
Nope.
But the fact that you just kind of, hey, we gonna do this together, and then it grew from you intervening to now you guys are doing the music. You're passionate about the music taking off. You decide to invest in yourselves. Those are all factors that Four Fathers wants to instill in all of its participants, because seeing a need is one thing, but actually doing something to move things forward, it's a whole different ball game. And surrounding yourself with good people, again, I love that story, because you three guys, turned around and uplifted each other. After you went through your adversity, then you came back and was like, all right, we can actually do some business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so again, I applaud you guys for doing that, because kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier. You got a lot of people that have some great ideas, have a great vision, but don't actually do anything with it.
Don't do nothing with it. Yeah.
And the fact that you guys had it, you saw it, you fought through the adversity, and now here you are today. Great and awesome platform, and you're utilizing it, for a lot of different organizations and people in the community. That's dope.
Yeah,
love
right
it.
on, man. I appreciate it. So tell me what are the unique challenges that some of the Black and brown fathers face, and how do Four Fathers address those specific needs?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do is first help identify that there is a need, right? Because kind of what we were talking about earlier, where some things that have become normalized are not really healthy. And so that's the first part, is identifying what is healthy and what that should look like. Once we do that, then we add some context to it. One of the parts of our framework, we utilize post-traumatic slave syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy, where she helps people of color understand, like, hey, we weren't slaves by design, right? We weren't initially slaves when we came over here, but these are the things through slavery, that bad habits that we picked up, things that were instilled in us, that we have to unlearn and reprogram how we address things. So let's look at the situation with Tyreek Hill, right? The normalization of a Black man being pulled over, being taken to the ground, and being, humiliated,
assaulted.
Yeah. All of those things. It's, that takes a toll. That is a trauma that too many Black and brown men experience. And so understanding context and how to identify the traumas in your life, how to adequately approach those scenarios and figure out, how do I overcome in those situations, right? One, don't isolate yourself. Again, I love the story that you talked about with you and your friends, because there was an isolation. Oftentimes we can go into a deeper depression because we tend to be embarrassed about whatever situation we've gone through. We tend to be not really feel like there's nothing that we can do about it. So we just like, throw caution to the wind. But the fact that you identified that your good friend was struggling, Four Fathers looks at it the same way. We're identifying men that have their struggles, whether it be through parenting, whether it be through their partnership, how to engage, with the mother of their children. That's not going to cause conflict, but it's actually going to be productive. How do I approach those situations? What parenting looks like between the two. And so giving them the tools to be able to say, I want to make sure that I am being a healthy representative for my child, especially if I have a young boy, because that young boy is going to eventually become a father potentially. And even as a girl dad, it's equally important, because that's the last thing any dad wants to experience is the fact that their baby being taken advantage of. And so the healing process is very complex, because, us as Black men, we can be complex.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers that you have to fight through. And there's a lot of patience that it takes. So that's the first step of our approach, is just having that enough patience and giving our participants the confidence that they can actually come and get something out of it that is baby steps. I've had guys come in, I need this, I need that. How do I get this? How do I get that? Well, slow down.
Step at a time.
Let's first figure out, what's going on. What do you have going on? And so one of the things that we do is we start off with, some immediate goals. So like, say, for instance, if you might be homeless, or you might be hungry or whatever, then we try to get that immediate situation taken care of. What are your short term? Hey, I need to find a job, or I've been dealing with some issues from my past. How do I overcome it? And then what are your long term goals? Is could be, hey, I've been incarcerated for however many years now, I'm trying to reconnect. So it's really a pathway to helping, but it's a structure, because each time we're making sure along the way that we're having some small wins and some big wins. So again, it can be extremely complex when we start talking about the healing process for Black and brown men, because society teaches us we got to be tough. If you're not tough, then you're a simp, or you're weak, or whatever. So we got to first overcome that. And then the other part is that again, adequate tools. What is healthy? What is unhealthy? We're up on an election, and this is the first time where, well, not the first time, but the first time in a long time, we have a Black woman that's a candidate, right? A lot of Black men are feeling some type of way about that, because they're like, I don't want a Black woman telling me what to do. But why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that way? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't get too much into the politics, but as a part of our healing, that is something that we have to address. Why is it intimidating that a woman can potentially run, the country, or an organization, or a household, right? And again, that's a part of the healing process, where we have to uncover, why are we triggered by certain things that's going to make us react a certain way that's unfavorable. So again, it's a hard answer or question to address, because there's so many different angles and so many different layers. Not everybody comes in having the same issue, but the main thing that I want to stress is that once you come in, we have a conversation, we figure out where you are, where you want to be, and how we can help you get there. Nice. We do have the resources to help you get there.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. It's definitely needed out here. Like you said, fathers, especially Black men, too much pride and ego. Yes. Gotta set that to the side. If you need help, go ask for it.
Exactly.
You're just going to go further and further down the drain.
Exactly.
Man. So, we're going to take one more break, get a message from our sponsor, Thorn City Syndicate Management. But when we come back, we'll discuss your efforts in reducing violence and building up our community. Introducing Thorn City Syndicate Management, your solution for brand management, social media promotions, digital content distribution, and podcast production. From shaping engaging content that resonates with your audience to amplifying your brand's reach through podcasting. We're your partners in driving success. We offer free strategy sessions and leverage our recording studio and personalized strategies to establish an online presence. Your brand's journey to the top starts with Thorn City Syndicate Management, where innovation meets results. Contact us now at www.thorncitysyndicate.com to embark on the future path of transforming your brand's future.
Cause this syndicate lyricist exists. Don't blink one eye, baby, you just might miss. History in the making, from the making of this. Third, I guess it's welcome back to these words. So I'ma come well like welcome back words for sure. Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
So, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh man, welcome back to the Spotlight Show.
Yeah.
Oh man, this has been fun, brother.
It has.
Man,
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming through, sharing with me your mission and your vision and why you're doing it. Because I do believe it's really needed out here.
Yeah, for sure.
But what do you see as the root causes of violence in the communities, and how can we help address those causes?
Absolutely. The root causes is just, again, talking about the post-traumatic slave. We were programmed during that time to be pit against each other. We were also programmed to be a certain level of obedience to our slave masters. There was also, from a breeding perspective, you took the strongest, pair out of the groups, and now you're creating even stronger workers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We start from a young age, some 5, 6, 7 years old, and they're working, right? And so taking all of those years of trauma and abuse and rape and programming or deprogramming, when we talk about reading, all of those things, when you start looking at from a crime perspective, illiteracy contributes to criminal activity. Self-confidence contributes to criminal activity, because if you don't love yourself, then you're not going to necessarily care about anybody or anything else. So there are things that have a direct impact of how those influence how we see the world and how that shows up in our life. And so, one, identifying those things and being like, hey, this is not normal. This is what you were programmed to do, but you can deprogram that. And that's through knowledge. That's through understanding how that was done. If for even myself personally, I grew up in South Florida, in the South, something as simple as good hair, bad hair. I think that's a common conversation that we have within the Black and brown community. But the reality of it is that regardless of whether the hair is wavy, straight, or tight curl, which, some people call it naps, it's all good.
It's all good.
Right? It's all good. And if you want to really get technical, Black people are the only ones whose hair texture grows towards the sun. Right?
Wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So something as simple as that.
Goes down, huh?
Everybody else grows down.
Damn, that's crazy.
So when we start to learn more about who we are and who we belong to, then we can have a better sense of these things are not necessary. Crime is not necessary. I can actually have a story like Naeem, where I got together with some buddies. We had a vision for our business, and now, we're doing that thing, right? And so again, when you start thinking about how slavery impacted us coming together, you were literally, it was a matter of life and death for you not to want to connect with another slave. So therefore, after time, generation of that programming, you're more likely to try to work with somebody else that doesn't look like you than someone that does.
It does, yeah.
And subconsciously, you don't even
know.
No. But the cognitive dissonance is where you're like, I know that I should be wanting to work with Naeem and Justin, but I don't feel comfortable. You don't even know why you
don't even know why.
uncomfortable. You know what I mean? You're just like, but someone else that does not even look like you, you're like, oh, well, they know better. They got a better process.
Yeah.
But you haven't even qualified that, right?
No.
So really breaking it down from its simplest form is saying awareness, education, and how does that impact how you think and move and the decisions that you make. Not being from Portland, I didn't realize the amount or the small population of Black people
here, yeah.
Right? But as I started hearing the stories of, Northeast, that used to be the Black area,
yeah,
right? And now they've dispersed in,
everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So there is an effect that has on a community when you start to look up and you go from this used to be ours to now what do we claim ours anymore?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's on a scale out here. But when we start thinking about nationwide, the same thing is happening. Right. They're starting, gentrification is starting to set in to where, the resources are strained from an area to the point to where they can bulldoze it down and rebuild, but not include the people that actually were, born and raised and, had businesses in those areas. It becomes overpriced to where they can't no longer afford to pay the mortgage there or the taxes or, just a lot of things. So, educating our fathers that, hey, we got to add some historical context, because if we don't acknowledge it, then it's bound to happen again.
Gonna happen all over again.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really understanding, where we come from, who we are, not, buying into the propaganda that some social media that we see, there's a lot of people like, well, black on black crime. If we don't stop black on black crime, then we can't complain about the police. Well, black on black crime is only the only one that's identified. Yeah. We don't ever hear white on white crime. We don't ever hear Asian on Asian crime. Or you know what I mean? But also, too, statistically speaking, the difference between black on black crime and white on white crime is less than 10%. Right? Yeah. So even just understanding that information, it kind of starts to change your mindset about how you feel about this is why things happen to black. No, racism is real. Hate is real. All of those things happen as a result of this is what the history of this country has been. Yeah. Right. And then let's take it a step further when we start talking about, owning land, owning houses. They just within Juneteenth, they talked about Black Wall Street over in Oklahoma, in Tulsa. However, there is plenty of other great communities and stories that were developed where Black people were thriving that a lot of people are just now finding out about. And we didn't just sell off our land, it was taken. You know what I mean? Our businesses were taken. Redlining was real. We were paying more in interest in our mortgage than the average community that was in the rest of the United States, right? So Black people, we've always been great about finding a way. We've always been great about survival, but now we got to get to the point to where we're thriving. It's not just a survival's mentality. It's thriving and learning about investments, getting back to our roots of owning land, owning homes, feeling good about working with each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Work with each other.
Got to work with each other.
Everybody else do it.
Everybody else does it. and the thing that I've seen is that the people that have the biggest issue with trying to work with another Black person, they themselves don't try to work with another Black person.
No.
So I'm like, if you're talking about we need to do better about working with another Black person, but you don't employ Black people, you don't support Black businesses, you don't do anything that incorporates that. Yeah. What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
So, we are pointing out those things. It's like, hey, from the simplest idea to the biggest idea, we have enough just within our own communities to be able to do that. Yeah. We just got to make the decision to do it.
We got to do it. Yep. Man, well, how can people get involved with supporting Forefathers?
Absolutely. So our website is weare4fathers.org. weare4fathers.org. When you go to the website, you can take a look at our programming. You can take a look. We got some photo gallery, some video gallery there, where you can see some of the work that we're doing, some of the collaborations that we're involved with. Also, don't forget that donate button. Click that donate button. We are a nonprofit organization. When you donate, you give us the ability to support the participants that are coming to our organization. When we're talking about legal fees, when we're talking about food, when we're talking about assisting with housing, there's a lot of things that when you support nonprofits, it gives them the ability to be able to do the work that they love to do out of the kindness of their heart. We're not for profit. So a lot of the things that the money that comes in comes from people, their generosity grants. And then if we apparel, start selling that as well. So go to the website, weareforefathers.org. or you can just email me, Patrick at wearefourfathers.org, or you can text me, 813-956-2323. Still got my Florida number. I'm still a Florida boy, but, you know, I'm embracing being in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. Nice. Any advice for fathers out there who want to make a difference, but they feel powerless in their current situation?
Absolutely. So you talked earlier about the ego, right? We got to check our egos, check them at the door, because if we don't identify where we're struggling and on top of that, do something about it, then it's just going to be inevitable that you're not going to have a healthy life. So check your ego. And then also, too, if you feel like you're doing great, then help someone else then,
Somebody else.
right? My start was I wasn't doing so well. And once I got to a point to where I got better, then I started helping others. Same story for you. Yeah. You're in a different path, but it ultimately started from your compassion, from your empathy. You saw your boy struggling, and so therefore you was like, hey, we got to change this. I know you better than this. And so now, you know, y'all got your rap careers, you got your podcast, you got your music thing going on. And so that's what I feel like other men need to be doing.
Yeah.
If you're doing great, are you helping somebody else? Is that a part of your legacy to be able to help somebody else?
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Man, well, thanks for joining me, man. That's good stuff. I appreciate what you're doing out here. If there's any other way I can help, please let me know. But I sure appreciate you coming on and sharing all the good information.
For sure. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thanks. I like to encourage my listeners to explore their passions and embrace innovation and pursue entrepreneurship in their own unique ways. Thanks for joining us. Explore the power of networking and find inspiration by following me at Thorn City Podcast Guy. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Be the first to know about new releases, bonus episodes, and exciting updates. Stay up tuned for upcoming episodes of the Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show as we continue to highlight individuals, businesses, brands, and podcasters. Don't forget to subscribe to the Thorn City Podcast Guy YouTube channel and follow at Thorn City Syndicate, the management team, at GMP Podcast Group, the production company. Come on down to 2406 East Burnside Street. We'll take care of any of your podcasting needs. And while you're at it, drop by www.thorncitysyndicate.com. Schedule your free strategy session. Thorn City Podcast Guy. I'll at your boy.
Yes, sir.
There we go. That was fun.
Yes.
Good shit. Right on, brother.
Man, appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys putting me on.
Yeah.
And excited. So, sure. Yes, sir.
Yeah. What man? What power? Hoodoo.
I appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of the Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show, where we network and build connections, interviews, and discussions. Until next time, I'll at your boy, Thorn City Podcast Guy. I'm out.
You remind me of a man